Coach's Corner is brought to you by Capital Investment Company of Virginia.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Coach's Corner. I'm Mitch, Stewart, and this morning I'm joined by Rail Yard Dawgs head coach Dan Bremner. Dan, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dan, a lot of times we end up talking about the players that you end up coaching. We don't really put you in the limelight maybe as much as we should, but I want to give you the chance to kind of reflect on your 100th win. You reached that benchmark this past weekend. Now that you've had some time to process, what was that like kind of hitting that milestone in your career?
Well, honestly, I didn't have any idea. Jansen mentioned it after the game and the puck and everything. Looking back, it's a cool moment, but it's on to the next one. I don't know. I don't really think. Maybe I'm similar to the fans that I really like to thrive on the guys when they get their moments, and for me, it's just carrying on and hopefully staying consistent. So we're looking for 101 on Wednesday.
Well, this past weekend, you got 99 and 100 down in Macon. Not maybe the prettiest performances of the year for you all on Friday and Saturday night, but you found a way to get the job done and continue the win streak to 7 games. What did you see from your team on Friday and Saturday down in Georgia?
Well, Friday in particular, every team is going through stuff all year long, so there's, cry about it and have excuses, but, we had some sickness going through the team for sure through the week, and you saw it on Friday. I think our top 5 forwards were all just slow and sluggish and no energy and ineffective out there. It's really cool in a year like this year where, we're really deep like we are, and you see some guys step up. That Dom, Nenadal, or Marcinkiewicz, Nenadal, and Raiden line was unbelievable, both Friday and Saturday, and they really pulled the weight for us. And I thought, get the win on Friday, even though the energy wasn't there. And a big thing we talk about, even with the older guys, and they want to contribute. They know that they have to be contributing to for our team to be successful. But when they're not having a weekend like that, when they're coming off of sickness and don't have the energy, it's playing a certain way where you can still contribute. And I thought on Saturday they adjusted their game pretty well, and they just still didn't have great games, but they were able to contribute to the win. And Dom, Nens, and Raiden just kind of kept chugging along.
It's funny that you bring up that trio of Marcinkiewicz, Nenadal, and Raiden. That was actually exactly where I was about to head next. That trio gets 12 points combined over those 2 games this weekend, and they're not your typical third line when you see that level of production and that level of work rate game in and game out. What do they bring to the table for you guys beyond those top 2 lines?
Yeah, so I think they're just a good fit. Dom is so dynamic in his speed and puck handling. He sees the ice very, very well. Raiden has just found a nose for the net, and he finds himself there getting what we call those greasy goals, finding rebounds, finding that loose puck. They both forecheck hard, and then we all know and love what Nenadal does for us, and he's a physical presence all the time. But one of the things I talked to him about, and I'm really pumped for Nens, is that I want him expanding his game. He's got a skill set. He played NCAA Division I hockey. He played high-level Division III hockey. Sometimes, and I was very similar in my game, you get into a role, and obviously you want team success, and sometimes you can narrow yourself into a role and take away things that maybe you can be adding to the team. So I'm really happy for him to kind of see some early season success as well.
A really good sign for the Rail Yard Dawgs this past weekend. You're able to get Brady Hepner back out on the ice Friday. He gets that game-winning power play goal. And then on Saturday night, Matt O'Day back to bolster that blue line, looking cool as ever on that defensive pairing for the Rail Yard Dawgs. How big is it to get 2 major contributors back like that when you have such a busy stretch of the season like you are right now?
Yeah, both huge factors for us. Heps, you can't teach speed like he has. He flies up and down the ice, and the game winner. And again, kind of comes back to Dom as well, who kind of gave him the pass there, and it was a great heads-up play. But Heps found that open ice, and in a game where we got give Macon credit, they pushed us in the third both nights, and especially that first night getting the tying goal early in the third. To see Heps out there and get that success is awesome. And then, of course, Matty O'Day, he's a staple here. And Again, his speed, but the maturity on the back end is huge too, especially, with Lenny out a couple nights. It was great to get that injection of kind of stability on the back end.
Another player that's been picking it up here recently during this 7-game win streak, Nick DeVito, on a 7-game point streak for the Rail Yard Dawgs. How nice is it to kind of see him start to settle into the season and kind of really take up that talisman role on that second line?
Yeah, so he was kind of like one of those guys up and down a lot last year. He had a stretch where he was absolutely lights out and great point streak, and then towards the end of the year it tailed off a little bit. So one of the things we're talking about is just that consistency. I think he can play at that level, absolutely. And this weekend, he was one of those guys that adjusted well. He wasn't a guy that had great pop out of his legs. He wasn't feeling great, but he found a way to contribute and found a way to not be a liability out there. So, excited for a guy like that to kind of hopefully continue finding that consistency.
You guys get Knoxville on the road Wednesday night, and then you're back home here at Berglund Center on Christmas Eve on Friday. You're 6-2-2 combined in those two rivalry series so far this year. In your opinion, what do you think is kind of the key when you go against two of those teams so often and getting 2 points both on Wednesday and on Friday night this week?
Yeah, well, first of all, not looking past the Wednesday game, of course. They're both good teams. They both can play up and down the ice. They got guys that can put the puck in the net. Our focus continues to be internally. It's on us, making sure that we're playing Dawgs hockey. Our D zone is locked up. We're not giving much, and that's kind of been our identity this year so far, is making sure that we're not giving a ton of grade A chances, and we continue to focus on that. And then with our deep roster of forwards, we got guys that can manufacture opportunities on the offensive end. So I think if our focus is to take away their chances, we're going to put ourselves in a great place to win a couple games.
Good deal, Dan. Thanks for joining me here today, and congrats again on the 100th win.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it.
That's going to do it for this episode of Coach's Corner. Make sure to come to the arena Friday night here at Berglund Center. The Rail Yard Dawgs give you a little bit of a Christmas appetizer on the 23rd as they host the Fayetteville Marksmen. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Coach's Corner is brought to you by Capital Investment Company of Virginia.